The music was loud. Laughter filled the house. From the outside, everything looked perfect. It was my parents' anniversary party. A big one. Family, friends, everyone was there. And, of course, my sister. She stood in the center, smiling, glowing, receiving compliments like she always did. You must be so proud of her. She's incredible. My parents loved that. My mother smiled wider. My father nodded proudly. And me? I stood a few steps away, invisible. Not new. Just normal. I wasn't jealous. I was just tired. Tired of being the extra. The one no one mentioned. The one who never quite fit. Still, I stayed. Because leaving would have been disrespectful. Eventually, my father tapped his glass. The room quieted. "Thank you all for coming," he said, smiling. He talked about family, about pride, about success. Then he turned to my sister and placed a hand on her shoulder. Our greatest achievement. Applause filled the room. Loud. Genuine. And then, he laughed lightly. Sometimes I wish she was our only child. A few people chuckled, like it was a joke. But my mother didn't laugh. She nodded. Life would have been easier, she added casually. That wasn't a joke. The room went awkwardly quiet. For a second, people looked at me, then quickly looked away, like I was something uncomfortable. My sister shifted slightly, but said nothing. Of course she didn't. I stood there, feeling something inside me go still. Not breaking, just quiet, because I finally understood. I had spent my whole life trying to belong, in a place where I was never wanted. I stepped forward, not angry, not emotional, just done. "Then you should have stopped at one," I said calmly. The room froze. My parents stared at me, shocked, because this wasn't the version of me they knew. And what they didn't realize yet was that this moment was the beginning of me walking away. For good. The room stayed frozen after I spoke. No laughter. No music. Just silence. My father's expression hardened first. "What did you just say?" I met his gaze calmly. "You heard me." That alone was enough to shake them, because I wasn't backing down. My mother stepped forward, her voice low but sharp. "This is not the time for your attitude." I almost smiled. "It never is," I replied. A few people shifted uncomfortably. Some tried to pretend this wasn't happening. But it was. And, for once, I wasn't going to let it slide. "You embarrassed us," my father said, louder now. I tilted my head slightly. "Really?" I glanced around the room, because I thought wishing one of your children didn't exist was more embarrassing. That hit hard. My mother's face tightened. "We didn't mean it like that," she said quickly. "Then how did you mean it?" I asked. No answer. Of course not. Because there wasn't a better version of what they said. There was only the truth. And they had already said it. My sister finally spoke, her voice hesitant. "Can we not do this right now?" I looked at her. "You didn't say anything either," I said quietly. She looked away. And that told me everything. This wasn't just about my parents. This was about a pattern. A system where I was always the extra piece. The one no one defended. The one everyone expected to stay quiet. But not anymore. "I spent years trying to earn your approval," I said, looking back at my parents. Trying to be enough. My voice didn't shake, because I wasn't hurt anymore. I was clear. But tonight made one thing obvious. I continued. I was never the problem. Silence filled the room again. This time heavier. Because they couldn't twist this. Couldn't dismiss it. My father scoffed. "If you feel that way, then maybe you shouldn't be here at all." There it was. The final line. The same message, just said differently. I nodded slowly. "You're right." That caught them off guard. Because they expected resistance. Emotion. Something they could control. But I just turned. Walked toward the door. No hesitation. No looking back. "Where are you going?" my mother called out. I paused. Just for a second. Then said, "Somewhere I'm actually wanted." And I walked out. But what they didn't know was that leaving that house was the best decision I would ever make, because the life I was about to build would be something they could never ignore again. 3 years passed. No calls. No messages. No family dinners. At first it hurt. The silence felt heavy, like I had erased myself from their world.
But slowly something changed.
That silence turned into peace. And that peace turned into focus. I stopped trying to be accepted and started building a life where I didn't need approval. I worked
Hard. Took risks. Failed.
learned, tried again, step by step. I built something of my own. A business,
A name.
a life. One that didn't include them. Until one day, I got an invitation. Another family gathering. Different reason. Same house. I almost didn't go. But then I thought, why not? This time, I wasn't going back as the same person. When I walked in, everything looked familiar. Same walls. Same people. But the way they looked at me, that was different. Confusion. Surprise. Curiosity. I wasn't invisible anymore. I was noticed. My sister was the first approach. You look different, she said quietly. I am, I replied. Then my parents walked over. My father's tone was careful now. We heard you've been doing well. I nodded. I have. My mother forced a small smile. We're proud of you. I looked at her. Really looked. And for the first time, I didn't feel anything. No anger. No need for validation. Just distance. Thank you, I said calmly. The conversation felt awkward because the power had shifted. They could feel it. Everyone could. Later that evening, someone asked what I did now. I explained briefly. The business. The growth. The success. The room grew quiet. Not out of pity this time, but respect. The same people who once ignored me were now listening.
Carefully.
My father looked around, then back at me. You should visit more often, he said. I paused, smiled slightly, and shook my head. I don't think so. That hit harder than anything I could have said before, because this time, I wasn't asking to belong.
I was choosing not to.
I picked up my coat, and before leaving, I said one last thing. You once made it clear I didn't matter here. I looked around the room, then back at them. So, I built a life where I do. Silence followed me as I walked out, but this time, it wasn't heavy. It wasn't painful. It was peaceful, because I didn't lose a family that night years ago. I walked away from one that never truly had me, and in doing that, I finally found myself.